This is the tutorial for Chapter 2, Section 3, and then we are on day number 1 here. So let's take a look at our first problem, and it says that we have 17 minus 9y equals negative 3 plus 16y. So what I want to do is get to the variables onto one side. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 9y to both sides, and at the same time I'm going to go ahead and add 3 to both sides. So when I do that, I'm left with 20 equals, and then I've got 25y. So when I divide by 25, I have a fraction. I just need to reduce that fraction by dividing both the top and the bottom of the fraction, the numerator and denominator, by 5. So I'm left with 4/5 as the value of y. On this one, I'll go ahead and bring the variables to the opposite side this time. So I'll go ahead and subtract or add 7m to both sides, and at the same time take away 22 from both sides. So that leaves me with 22m equals, and then here I have to subtract these two numbers because they're opposite signs. I end up with negative 4. So when I divide by 22 on both sides, I just need to reduce the fraction, take out the common factor of 2, and we get our answer, negative 2/11. So on this one I have to distribute. So when we see a minus sign right in front of the parentheses, I'm thinking of this as negative 1. I'm going to distribute that over both terms. So I'm left with a negative 8x minus 3x minus 6 equals 4 minus x. So I collect like terms right here. They're the same sign, so I'll go ahead and add them together. And that was a minus 6, so let's change that. And this all equals 4 minus x. So I'll go ahead and add the x to both sides. And at the same time, I'll go ahead and add the 6 to both sides. So when I do that, I end up with a negative 10x equals positive 10. So dividing by negative 10 gives me my answer of negative 1. So on this one, I'll go ahead and multiply negative 3 by each of these terms. I'm left with 14 plus 3n equals 8n minus 3n plus 12. So I'll go ahead and collect like terms right here on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So I'm still left with this 14 plus 3n equals now 5n plus 12. So I'll just start moving terms from one side to the other. I'll subtract the 12 from both sides. And if that's the case, which way I'm going, I've got to subtract the 3n. So it's important to make sure your variables are on one side of the equal sign, constants on the other. That way you can go ahead and solve by doing some division, and you get the right sign for the answer, n equals 1. So let's take a look at a couple other problems that we might see. We'll have one with some fractions. So let's talk about what we could do to get rid of the fractions. So you can either leave the fractions in there, or a lot of people like to get rid of them. So if I multiply every single number by 20, this will eliminate the fractions, so I don't have those to deal with. So 4 goes into 25 times. 5 goes into 24 times, and 20 goes into 21 times. So then I multiply across. So 5 times 1 is 5, 4x times 4 is 16x, and then this all equals 11. So from this point I could go ahead and subtract the 5 from all sides. And when I do that, I'm left with 16x equals, and then here I've got 6. And so I'll go ahead and divide by 16 on both sides. And taking out the common factor of 2 will give me my answer of 3/8. So moving on to the last type of problem. This one has some decimals. So if you want, you can get rid of the decimals. If you don't like them, you can multiply the entire equation. That means every number by 10. Actually, in this case, I'd have to multiply by 100 because I want to move the decimal over 2 spaces. 10 if it was just 1 space, including the 3, though, if I go this route. So it makes the numbers bigger, but you've got the same number of digits. Here, it just made the number bigger. We have more digits. Here, we don't have the decimals anymore. So all this does is eliminate the decimals so you don't have to deal with them. And so some people like it, and some people just would rather keep the decimals. So I'll go ahead and do it this way, and I've got 371 equals 106g. So dividing by 106, let's see how many times it goes in. So when I did that division, I ended up with 3 5/10. So those are the types of problems that you're going to end up seeing on tonight's assignment. Good luck.